The sky above Northern California glimmered with hues of gold and violet as the sun dipped behind the dry hills. It had been a long, sweltering summer, the land brittle and thirsty from months without rain. Farmers had long since resigned themselves to poor harvests, and residents kept a wary eye on the horizon, knowing that in California, fire was not a possibility, it was a certainty. On this particular evening, the air carried an unsettling stillness. The wind had shifted, whispering through the bone-dry trees and stirring the brittle grass into nervous tremors. Near a remote canyon town, a spark flickered at the base of a weathered power pole. It danced among the dry undergrowth, hungry and eager. Within moments, the spark became a flame, then a blaze. Fueled by fierce winds, it roared up the hillside, devouring everything in its path. By the time night fell, the blaze had leaped across highways and crept toward sleepy neighborhoods. The local fire department, stretched thin by other wildfires in the region, sent out urgent evacuation orders. Families fled their homes, their cars loaded with hastily grabbed belongings and beloved pets. Over the next 24 hours, the inferno spread relentlessly. News stations broadcast live images of neighborhoods reduced to ash, ancient forests turned into skeletal ruins, and terrified animals fleeing for their lives. The California wildfire had earned a name, the Ember Hill Fire. Perched on a ridge overlooking the valley, Ember Hill Orphanage had stood for decades as a place of refuge for children without families. The building, once a grand estate with sweeping verandas and ivy-covered walls, had weathered many storms but never faced anything like what was coming. Inside the orphanage, Sister Mary moved through the halls with practiced ease, her sensible shoes clicking softly on the wooden floors. She was a woman of quiet strength, her grey-streaked hair pulled back into a bun. Though life had thrown her many challenges, none had shaken her faith in humanity or the children she cared for. On this particular morning, the children were gathered in the common room, their laughter echoing through the halls. Little Emily, a spirited 5-year-old with curly blonde hair, was building a tower out of wooden blocks. Nearby, 13-year-old Jacob, the eldest of the orphans, sat with a book in hand, though his eyes kept darting to the window. "Sister Mary," Jacob called, his voice tinged with unease. "The sky looks weird." Sister Mary approached the window, her heart skipping a beat. The horizon glowed with an ominous orange hue, smoke curling upward like a sinister serpent. She knew that glow all too well. "Mr. Ross," she called to the groundskeeper, who was tending to the garden outside. "Come inside, please." Mr. Ross, a burly man with a kind face, wiped his hands on his overalls and approached. "What is it, sister?" She pointed to the horizon. "The fire's getting close." His expression darkened. "We should start making preparations." By late afternoon, the fire had jumped the canyon and was hurtling toward the ridge. The staff scrambled to pack supplies while Sister Mary kept the children calm. "We're going on an adventure," she told them with a reassuring smile. "Everyone stay close and listen carefully to your group leaders." The old orphanage bus, a rickety vehicle that had seen better days, was loaded with children and essentials. But just as Mr. Ross started the engine, a gust of wind sent embers swirling through the air. Flames licked at the wooden bridge that connected the orphanage to the main road. Within moments, the bridge was engulfed in fire, collapsing into the ravine below. "We're trapped," Mr. Ross said grimly. Panic rippled through the staff and children. Sister Mary took a deep breath, steadying herself. "We'll find another way." As the staff huddled to discuss their options, a figure emerged from the smoke-shrouded woods. He was tall and rugged, his clothes streaked with soot and his face lined with years of hardship. Caleb, a former firefighter who had retreated to a cabin deep in the forest after a personal tragedy, had heard the emergency broadcasts. "I know a way out," he said, his voice rough but steady. "There's a trail through the forest. It's risky, but it'll get you clear of the fire." Sister Mary hesitated. "Why should we trust you?" Caleb met her gaze with unwavering resolve. "Because staying here isn't an option." Realizing they had no choice, Sister Mary nodded. "Lead the way." The trail was narrow and treacherous, winding through dense woods that were already beginning to catch fire. Caleb led the way, his knowledge of fire behavior guiding their every step. "Stay close and keep low," he instructed. The children clung to one another, their faces streaked with tears and soot. Little Emily stumbled, her tiny legs unable to keep up. Caleb scooped her up without breaking stride. "I've got you," he whispered. Sister Mary's heart ached as she watched the children struggle. The fire roared around them, a monstrous beast determined to consume everything in its path. Trees exploded into flames, and embers rained down like fiery confetti. "We're not going to make it," one of the staff members muttered, fear thick in his voice. "Yes, we will," Caleb said firmly. "Just keep moving." The path narrowed further, flanked by towering trees that crackled and hissed as the flames crept ever closer. Caleb led the group with unyielding determination, scanning the surroundings for signs of danger. His experience as a firefighter had taught him to read a wildfire's movements like a book, but even he knew they were running out of time. Behind him, Sister Mary carried a small child whose lungs were heaving from smoke inhalation. "You're doing so well, sweetheart," she whispered, though panic tightened her throat. The heat was unbearable, the air thick and acrid. The children stumbled, coughing and gasping. Mr. Ross, his face slick with sweat, paused to catch his breath. "We can't keep this up," he said, his voice hoarse. "We have to," Caleb insisted, setting Emily down for a moment. He knelt in front of the group, his gaze fierce. "Listen to me, all of you. I know it's hard. I know you're scared. But we're almost there. Just a little bit further, okay?" The older children nodded, swallowing their fear. Even the youngest seemed to draw strength from Caleb's calm authority. "Good," he said. "Let's move." They hadn't gone far when disaster struck. A massive tree, its trunk weakened by fire, came crashing down across the trail, sending sparks flying. Sister Mary gasped, shielding the children from the burning debris. "Dear God," she whispered. The flames licked hungrily at the branches, blocking their only path forward. Caleb's mind raced. Turning back was not an option. The fire was right behind them. "I'll clear it," Caleb said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "No, it's too dangerous." Sister Mary protested. But Caleb was already moving, pulling off his jacket and wrapping it around his hands. He grabbed a thick branch that was partially engulfed in flames and heaved it aside, gritting his teeth as the heat seared his skin. The branch smoldered, but Caleb didn't stop. He cleared one branch, then another, his muscles burning with exertion. Smoke stung his eyes, but he pushed through the pain. Finally, there was a narrow gap, just wide enough for the group to pass. "Go," he shouted, his voice raw. Sister Mary led the children through the gap, her heart pounding. Caleb stumbled after them, his hands blistered and shaking. The forest thinned as they neared the clearing Caleb had promised. The smoke began to lift, revealing a sky painted with hues of orange and grey. Rescue vehicles waited at the edge of the clearing, their lights flashing like beacons of salvation. "We made it!" Mr. Ross cried, tears streaming down his soot-streaked face. The children cheered weakly, their voices hoarse but filled with relief. Caleb sank to his knees, exhausted but triumphant. Sister Mary knelt beside him, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "You saved us," she said, her voice breaking. "I don't know how to thank you." Caleb shook his head. "You don't have to." As firefighters and paramedics rushed to tend to the group, Sister Mary watched the children being wrapped in blankets and given water. They were safe. That was all that mattered. The orphanage was gone, reduced to ashes. But the spirit of Ember Hill had not been extinguished. The community rallied around the children, offering shelter and donations. Volunteers cleared the debris and began plans to rebuild. Caleb, who had always been a solitary figure, found himself embraced by the town as a hero. Though he had once sought isolation to escape his past, he now felt a sense of belonging he hadn't known in years. One afternoon, as construction on the new orphanage began, Sister Mary found Caleb sitting on a fallen log, watching the workers. "You're staying, aren't you?" she asked gently. Caleb hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, I think I am." The corners of Sister Mary's mouth lifted into a smile. "The children need someone like you." Caleb looked out at the clearing where the new orphanage would stand. "Maybe I need them too," he admitted. The new Ember Hill orphanage stood as a testament to resilience and hope. The children thrived, their laughter once again echoing through the halls. Caleb became a fixture in their lives, a guardian who had once led them through the inferno and now guided them through life. And though the scars of the fire remained, they were a reminder not of loss, but of survival, courage, and the unbreakable bonds forged in the face of unimaginable hardship. California would burn again, as it always did. But Ember Hill would stand strong, a beacon of hope rising from the ashes. Like, subscribe, and follow for more inspiring stories.